friends, it's Christy. Welcome back to my channel. Today I've got a card for you guys using some Hello Bluebird stamps. I'm using Joyful Mouse, Pig Day, and then the balloon from Greetings Bear. And I will also be using the Echo Park Happy Birthday Boy 6x6 pattern paper pad. Before we get into the coloring today, I thought I would show you guys how I always choose a piece of pattern paper so that I can color to match. So I'm kind of flipping through here and picking what I call my base layer, which is going to be the most colorful pattern that's usually in the background. And I decided to go with this cupcake print, so I'll be setting that off to the side and choosing my markers accordingly. I've stamped my images in Memento Tuxedo black ink on some Copic friendly cardstock, and I'm going to be coloring with my Copics today. I'm starting with my little mouse, and for him I'm using E40, E41, E43, and E44. I started with that E44 and put in some dark shadows in just a couple tiny little places. I really just want it as an accent. And then I'm going to come in with that E43 and really blend that out. I'm choosing to do a center light source, which means I'm going to have my darkest places on the outside edge, and that's going to give him that rounded dimensional appearance. And then I'll have my highlight in the center. So now I'm coming in with the E41 and I'm going to blend out his little feet and his belly and his paws. And then I'm going to come around his face. I'm kind of creating like a halo effect around his face and adding a little bit to his ears as well. So I'll make a little circle around the outside edge, and then I can fill in that last little bit there with the E40, and it'll be nice and bright there. I felt like his paws needed a little more definition, so I just went back in with the E41. Also added a little bit of shading with the E41 in his ears and blended out with the E40. And then I'm going to come in with the YR00 and color right over that, and also give him some rosy cheeks. You can also use the R20, which a lot of people use, which is a little more pinky toned. This one is a little more peach toned, and I thought it looked nice with the brown. And then I just blended over that with the E40 once again. For my yellows, I'm using Y11, Y13, and Y17, and I'm going to color in the gift, starting with that Y17 down towards the bottom for my shadow, and then blending upwards with the Y13, and then I'll finish with the Y11. And I felt like the dark got knocked back a little too far, so I just came back in with a little more of the Y17 and Y13. And then I'm also going to take those same shades and do one of the stripes of the party hat, just doing the shadow on the left hand side and blending towards the right, darkest to lightest. And again, adding in those darker two shades. That Y11 is pretty powerful, it pushes the color back quite a bit. For my red combo, I'm using R24, R29, and R39. And I'm starting with the party hat once again and just shading left to right as I did with the yellow. And then I will also color in the ribbon on the gift, and I'm starting at the bottom and shading upward towards the top, R39, then R29, and finishing with the R24. For my greens, I'm using G05 and G03, and I'm just doing that top stripe on the party hat, so the two shades are fine. It's a really small little area. I did the G05 and then the G03, and then came back in with a little more of the G05. And then for my kind of navy blue, I'm using B97 and B99 to do the little ball on the top of the party hat. And then I'll bring in the B93 and B95 as well. And I'm going to use those to color in my birds so they look like bluebirds. So I'm using the B99 at the back of their bodies and then blending forward with the B97 and making sure to color in their little wings as well. Then I'll use the B95 to blend upward towards the back of their heads on both of them. And then I'll save some room for the B93. I'm going to leave their bellies blank because I'm going to do a little bit of a different color there. So I'm just filling in their faces. And then I will go back to my YR00. So they have kind of a blush colored belly like bluebirds have, and I thought that would match nicely with the little mouse, since it's the same color we used on his ears and his rosy cheeks. So I'm just working that into the edge of the B93, making sure that there's a nice blend there. And then I'll use the W5 to color in their tiny beaks. And then for the balloon, I'm going to use BG11, BG13, and BG15. I'm starting with the BG15 and doing a half moon shape on the left-hand side, but I'm leaving some space on the far left. I'm going to blend on either side of that with the BG13, just carrying that color out a bit. And then I will fill in that left edge with the BG11 and then carry that all the way across to the right hand side. I'm going to draw myself out a little sliver that I want to keep white so it has a nice shine mark. And then I will begin to blend out the edge of that BG13 with the BG11. And I'm just going to work my way back and forth. I think my BG11 needs refilled. I refilled it not that long ago, but maybe I didn't add quite enough ink inside because I'm still having trouble blending these colors together lately. So I am going to go back in with a little bit of that BG13, flick a little bit more in there, and then try to blend. And then I do also do a little tip-to-tip action, just trying to create a shade that kind of helps those colors play nicely together. So I'll finish up my balloon and then I'll grab my pattern paper and bring that back in so you guys can see how well the coloring matches. And then I'll just die cut these out with the matching dies. So now I'm ready to choose my other patterns, and for the particular card design that I have in mind, I know I'm going to need at least 4 different prints. The back of the cupcake print has a tone-on-tone green star that I'm planning to use. And then I'm looking for another kind of small, colorful pattern, and I decide to go with these pennant banners. So that makes 3, so I'm going to need at least 1 more print, and I'm definitely looking for another tone-on-tone, because even though it's a birthday card and I want there to be a lot of vibrant color because it's a celebration, I definitely don't want it to get out of balance. So these muted colors or kind of tone-on-tones, they work almost like a solid, are going to really help ground those colorful prints. So I've trimmed down my pattern papers. I've used the Lawn Fawn Stitch Rectangle Stackables for the cupcake print. I've used the party banners to just cut the bottom edge of this blue print so that I have that nice fishtail edge with the stitching. And then I've used the Lawn Fawn Stitched Circle Stackables for the pennant banners. And I used that same die for the green star. And then I decided that I did want a 5th print, and I used the Lawn Fawn Scalloped Circle Stackables for that, and I just used a solid red. It has a star print on the back, but the front is just that plain red, and that's going to add even more balance to ground those bright pops of colors. So now that I have all of that trimmed out, I'm going to set everything aside except for the parts for the focal panel. I'm going to glue the star print down to the bottom of the pennant banner, and that's going to be the ground, just using a little liquid glue, and then I'll add some in the center of the red scalloped and adhere those two together and just make sure that they're nice and straight. I've gone ahead and stamped the string of the balloon directly on my focal panel, and I did that off camera because I had to get directly over it to see, so my head would have been in the way. So I just masked off part of it on the bottom because I didn't want it to be quite as long, and I'm going to pop the balloon over top with some foam tape. I'm also going to add my little mouse in the center of my scene, and really most of that balloon string is going to get covered up anyway, but I wanted a little bit of it to show so it didn't look like it was just floating there out of place. I'm going to have the one little bluebird holding on to the string, and then the gift is going to go on the right side. I realized at this point that I was going to need to move my little mouse over a little bit more towards the center. So luckily I hadn't pushed him down too hard, so I was able to adjust him a little bit. I try not to push my images down until I am completely finished arranging them, so I'm able to move them a little bit. And then that last little bird is going to be standing on top of the gift. And then I'll give the mouse his little party hat. And I forgot to add some liquid glue down towards the bottom. The most of it is popped up with foam tape, but just the part that's overlapping the top of his head, I wanted to add a little bit of liquid glue so it was secured down nicely. And then once I have that done, I'll just set that aside and move on to stamping my sentiment. I'm going to be stamping it directly onto this blue print down towards the end of the flag banner, and I'm stamping it with VersaFine Onyx Black ink. I'm using a sentiment from Pig Day that says, "You're how old?" which I thought was just kind of cute and cheeky. It kind of goes with the mouse's cheeky grin. And then while I have my Misty out, I'm also going to stamp the inside of my card. I'm using Moonstone ink from Lawn Fawn, and I'm stamping another one of the mice from Joyful Mouse, and then a bird from Pig Day, and then the cake is from the Greetings Bear. So I'm using all three of those again. And also the sentiment says Happy Birthday, that's from Pig Day. So I didn't get a good impression the first time. These are brand new stamps and I hadn't cleaned them off, so I just used my Misty to stamp those out several more times until I was happy with the results. And that's the great thing about the Misty. If I hadn't been using that, you know, the inside of the card would have been ruined and I would have had to start all over. So love that tool. It's one of my favorites in my whole craft room. So now I can adhere my remaining pattern papers down to my card base. I'm adding the cupcake print to cover the entire card front, and it is a standard A2 size card, so it's 4 1/4 wide by 5 1/2 tall. Then I'll add my flag down the left hand side, just leaving a little bit of the cupcake print to show through on the edge. And then I'll add some foam tape to the back of my focal panel and pop that up right above my sentiment. I'll make sure I have that lined up nice and straight and then press that down into place. And that is going to complete our card for today. There's another peek at the inside, and I think it turned out super cute. I love these images from Hello Bluebird. So I hope this video gave you guys some ideas of how to color your images to match your pattern paper and how to mix different patterns and colors of your pattern paper together on a card. If you enjoyed the video, please be sure to give it a big thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. I would love to have you. Here's 2 extra videos you may also enjoy, so hopefully those will tide you over until the next one. Until then, I hope you all have an amazing day. Bye-bye.